Hey everyone, Lord Bite Me Man here. I want to start off this video with a huge shout out to Elder's Vault. He's blowing up right now. He's gained more subscribers since this morning than I have, ever. So, great job, Elder. You came in and introduced us all to some new cool stuff out there. Congratulations on hitting 400 subs. And here's hoping my next shout out is for 4,000. And if you're watching this and you aren't subscribed to him already, one, why? I'm drunk in half my videos. And two, link is in the description. Go click the clicky thing for him. Alright, so, today's subject. Scaring the shit out of people by uploading twice in a week. No. No, today I figured I'd tell a little story about a time back in college on Halloween when my costume scared the hell out of people. I'm writing this before I came up with my bad art, but I know my bad art will be bad even before it's made. It's reliable like that, so this whole story takes place back on Halloween of 2002. I was attending the University of Michigan, a place that played no small part in the eventual formation of the Drunken Readings series, and I'd been invited to a party at a friend's campus home. Admittedly, this was the first time in years I'd been invited to do anything on Halloween, so I was totally devoid of a costume. Last time I dressed up for anything on Halloween, it involved me wearing a pair of underwear on my head, and that is a whole other story altogether. So, I had to go get some sort of costume for the party, and I started racking my brains to come up with some ideas. I started out with wanting to dress like the guys at the sex party in Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Even though that movie was a massive fucking letdown, those costumes were pretty badass. So I got out thinking, okay, get the theater mask, the black hooded robe like a lot of them were wearing, and I don't know, like a stylistic cane or something. Like maybe a black one with those silver tips and everything. My first stop was to head out to Halloween USA and see what I could dig up. I wandered around that place for an hour. I was sweating. Those things are so miserably hot, and, you know, October in Michigan is cold as hell. So I'm sitting in there in, a hoodie, and it's hot, and sweating, trying to find, a theater mask that's full face, and I couldn't find anything. The closest I could find was a Phantom of the Opera mask. And I did find this thing that's cool, Death's cloak, which, it had the hood, and it was kind of like a cape sort of deal, so it was kind of close, but not quite. I couldn't find, one of those, even a costume, plastic, stylish, black cane with silver tip. Couldn't find any of that stuff. I was looking through there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have to improvise here. I'm going to have to come up with something new. I found something that helped me improvise. I found this full face hood that you could see through. It's got this translucent material on the front where you can see out but nobody can see in. So it looks like all black on the face. So your face is shrouded in black. I figure, okay, I think I'm starting to get an idea what I can do here. I pieced together in my mind that full face hood, that death shroud, the Phantom of the Opera mask, and maybe go grab some black leather gloves somewhere, and that might look pretty good. Maybe get a black cane somewhere, even if I just have to get a regular old cane. I go to the local shop, Noir Leather, and I pick up some black leather gloves there, because you can always go to an S&M shop and pick up black leather gloves. I'm fairly certain it's in the rules. I did end up going to a drugstore and picking up a run-of-the-mill black cane. And I already had, a black sweater, black shoes, black pants, and I even had this black waiter's apron from a summer job I had. And I decided I'm going to wear this, and I'm going to stuff it with candy and other stuff, I went into this thinking I was going to look like a costume millionaire at a sex party. Seriously, Eyes Wide Shut is a fucked up movie. Instead, I ended up looking like this. In the week running up to the party, I even decided to do a bit of acting in costume, kind of get into character. I studied how actors like Nick Castle portrayed Michael Myers in the Halloween films, and I really got a feeling for that minimalistic body movement, conservation, very mechanical. I printed off a bunch of little cryptic statements on pieces of paper, and that was going to serve as vague, evasive answers to questions. And my whole goal was to just be like this spooky, minimalist moving, non-communicative guy. And yeah, I sound like the spookiest guy on the face of the earth. I sound like Richard Nixon or something. Mm. I sound like Richard Nixon, like, moved to the Midwest. Anyway, Halloween rolls around, and I assure you it has nothing to do with Richard Nixon now. Yeah, Gerald Ford came from Michigan. Why do I even go, like, to Nixon? I'm so stuck mentally on, like, Nixon from Futurama. That's a big segue. Anyway, Halloween rolls around. I get into costume, except for, like, the hood and the mask, because I had to drive out to Ann Arbor. I lived off campus, and it was way cheaper back then. I took that apron, I stuffed it full of suckers in one pocket, and with another pocket I had all those, like, little cutouts of those cryptic statements. Um, I got out to the computer lab out there, and I checked the email, and I printed out the email so I could, verify the address when I got out there. And I headed off to grab a bite to eat before the party. I had a burrito at Ponchero's, because if you're ever in Ann Arbor, you will eat a burrito at Ponchero's. That place is an institution. You will have rice, amigo. If you ever go there, you'll know what I mean. I got done, I threw my hood on, and decided to walk off to the party in the fading light of Ann Arbor in the fall. And that's when I discovered that wearing a mask over a translucent hood makes it unbelievably difficult to see at night. I could make out stuff that was close to me, but visibility beyond 10 feet was non-existent. But I was young and dumb, and I figured I'm in character now, so I'm sticking with this. At first it worked. I could see people, they were staring at me and looking rather creeped out by this getup. There was this guy who walked by in this Huck Finn costume, and he's like, "You look scary, man." And I decided right then and there, anyone who compliments me in this is getting a sucker. But instead of, like, saying thank you and saying, "Oh, here, have a sucker," I did this slow mechanical turn towards him. And I started taking these just very deliberate, methodical steps towards him while reaching in the apron. This guy just absolutely recoiled in fear. He raised this Huck Finn walking stick to hit me. And I was getting a bit nervous because I was fumbling for that sucker in that apron. Those damn leather gloves made it really hard to find one. And I was like half a second away from completely breaking character and saying, "Whoa, hold on, man, no, seriously." Instead, I just kind of, like, pulled out the hand, and I had a sucker in there. And this guy just dealt with this completely mechanical, emotionless, scream-looking guy, just walked towards him and pulled a fucking sucker out at him. He took it, and I bowed, and you could pretty much, like, in the air, you could feel this guy's sphincter relax a little bit, and he just kind of, like, nervously walked on. And I was like, score. So this costume, this movement style, it was working. I headed down the street to where the party was at. The address on the house wasn't visible from the street, and especially not with that damn mask and hood on. I couldn't see if this was the right place or not. And this place was quiet. It did not look like a party was going on in there. It looked like it was a damn study night. I didn't think the place was the right place, So I start walking down to the end of the street. And nope, the addresses are all getting higher and higher. I look around on the corners because sometimes you get, like, weird things with corner addresses. Nope, corner addresses were all higher. So I walk back again, and I stop at that house again, and I'm looking, and it still doesn't look like there's a damn party going on. This place is, like, quiet. I ended up walking down that street at least 3 or 4 more times, stopping at this house each and every time, staring at it like, where is the address on this house? This can't be the right place. There is not a party going on in there. Well, it got to the point, I wasn't about to waste a Halloween night, especially doing all this that I'd gone through. So I went for broke. I walked up and I knocked on the door. And the door opened, and these girls were, like, dressed like Greek goddesses. So I was like, thinking in my head, okay, all right, well, there's some kind of party going on there. I had the right place, but these girls were sketched out as hell, and they were like, oh my God, like, they just looked at me and they asked, "Why are you here? I pulled out the printout of the email that was telling them about the party. They grabbed it out of my hands, like hostile as hell. They read this thing over and they're like, oh my goodness. They asked me how I found out about the party, how I got this, and I just pulled out one of those pre-printed cryptic answers, and that sketched the shit out of them even more. They shut the door, and then a few minutes later they open it again and they say, okay, who are you? At this point I got the hint. These girls were not going to let me into this place unless I just broke character and fessed up. So I fessed up. I told them who I was, and they still, like, a lot of the faces were just kind of like blank. I heard a voice in the back saying, wait, I know him. It turns out one of the girls at the party was one of my old high school friends. She went and cleared it with all the other girls in there to let me enter. And basically, here's all what happened. The party wasn't, like, really in full swing because I am just perpetually early to shit. So this house was quiet because I get to places way too goddamn early. But also, as I was walking up and down the street stopping at that, one of the girls in the house was like watching me do this, and it was scaring the shit out of her. Well, the girl that I was scaring was also a high school friend. So we all just end up laughing about this. And they let me in, I'm shaking hands, catching up with everybody, and I just decide, just for shits and giggles, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to stand by the door and pretend to be one of the decorations. And yeah, people were coming in all night long looking like, whoa, that's a hell of a decoration, and then I'd move, and they'd all jump, and then everybody was just laughing their asses off. Well, at least me and the girls were. And so yeah, there you have it, friends. That is the tale of my Halloween costume that scared the hell out of people. And, hey, if you like this story, let me know down in the comments. Shoot me some feedback on Twitter. And until next time, may God have mercy on my soul.